Welcome into South Florida Daily. It is February 27th. It is almost the end of the month. Where does the time go? Thank you so much for joining us here for today's show. We have a great lineup for you. First off, we are heading to Delray Beach. We're also checking out a cultural heritage museum here in the Palm Beaches. That's coming up a little bit later in the show. But first, I sit down with a familiar face you've probably seen around town or right here on Fox 29. February is Black History Month. It is a time for us to honor and recognize the contributions that African Americans have made throughout history. We caught up with local businessman Ricky Wade and his daughter to talk about the impact that him and his family have made on the Palm Beach County community. Tell me a little bit about what your next program is. What is the big thing that's on the horizon? What do you want to get across today?
Well, first, it's good to be here. That's the first thing. I just think that the next big thing is to continue to do what we do in our Palm Beach County, which is what we call home. It's our community, and I have been blessed. I've been fortunate, and so I have the ability to do the things that I do. And it comes from my core values, and I really, really enjoy doing that. And it gives me a sense of purpose. And so I will continue to. I'm not doing this for notoriety. I do it because it's the right thing to do.
One of your main things is giving back to the community, but also leaving a lasting legacy for generations to come. That's why Devin Ashley is here today. Talk a little bit about the Next Generation program. What is that? What do people need to know?
Well, the great thing about the brand that I'm a franchisee for is that you have the ability to bring in a second generation, a third generation, and keep it a generational business that's thriving. And it gives me pleasure to know that my daughter made the decision to join our company and join the Next Generation program. And it will give me even more joy when she actually becomes that franchisee and she's actually approved. That word legacy means a lot to me, and it's just like Black History Month. That's legacy. We feature this every February of every year. We want the world to know what's happening, who is doing what, who is helping, who is supported.
Devin Ashley, you've grown up obviously seeing the impact that your dad has made on the community, especially locally here in South Florida. Why did you decide to join the family business?
Well, you know, when I think about it, a family legacy speaks volumes. And you know, when I think of legacy, I think of it's a chapter in history that I will leave behind for others to read. You know, when I think about my parents being Ricky and Lisette Wade, they are not only my mentors, my role models, my coach, but they were the pioneers of our family business. They started the foundations, and they keep all of the McDonald's fundamentals of community, integrity, diversity, and inclusion at the forefront. And those are also my core values and beliefs. For my belief is excellence should always be a prevailing attitude. To move the organization to the next level, I have to keep excellence at the forefront.
And don't you forget that.
Absolutely. That's why our organization is named Being the Best. For my dad always used to tell me, you're a Wade, and Wades will always be winners.
Going forward, 10, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what hopes and dreams do you have for your parents' legacy, the company that you are joining and taking on as your own?
I want to be able to impact lives in a, positive way. And as an African American female, as a minority, I think it's really important to always cast that image that anything is possible. You know, as our former leaders, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, they set the stage for anything is possible. And as long as you remove all obstacles and continue trendsetting in that direction, the world is my playground. So it's time to continue moving things in the right direction.
Devin Ashley, tell me, what is Dash Legacy? It's a part of being the best, right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
actually an extension.
Okay.
So Dash, the D comes from Devin, ASH from Ashley, and Legacy. So when I developed that name, I thought of first, my parents were, as I said earlier, the pioneers. They started it all, and I would be remiss if I didn't continue the legacy. For, previous to me even going into the business, I was, getting my feet wet. I was in the communications industry, legal studies industry, and I did my own self-searching professionally for what I wanted to accomplish. But I had this thought jerker to myself one day and I said, I would be really remiss if I do not get into the family business and continue and even make it even better, exceed the excellence expectations. For that's the legacy that I want to be able to build upon from what my parents have established.
How does it feel knowing that you're continuing your father's legacy? I mean, it has to be exciting, but also maybe some big shoes to fill.
I am not only excited, but ecstatic about it, for I love what I do. It's a passion of mine, and you know, oftentimes in the McDonald's industry, you'll hear people say, oh, you have ketchup in your veins. And when I got into operations, I almost felt like what Ricky mentioned earlier, you know, walking in his footsteps. I not only am walking in his footsteps, but I'm saying to myself, you know, this is my time to continue casting the Wade legacy.
South Florida Daily is on the move with Palmtran.
As the post-World War II population boom continued to explode, the Palm Beach County Courthouse became too small. The introduction of companies such as Pratt & Whitney, IBM, RCA, and Motorola further fueled the population spurt. So, the county commission did what most county commissions would have done.
The least expensive alternative was to wrap these 3 other buildings and make it a larger building. So imagine a building with a second building next to it, then later connected by a third building, and finally wrapped by a 4th building.
The wraparound was started in 1969 and finished in 1972. Turning a neoclassical building into a 1970s box with few windows did not come without controversy. And this building was no stranger to controversy. At that time, segregation was still common throughout the South. Inside the courthouse, bathrooms were designated for white or black, and African Americans were seated separately in the balcony. But in 1973, Edward Rogers became the first African American judge in Palm Beach County.
I was sort of a showcase, so to speak. As I said, I was sitting on the bench sometime and I'd see people like you come by the hall, pass by my office, and as you pass by, you slow to maintain the image.
Today, Rogers reflects on how much change has occurred.
Quite a bit of change. I am living in a senior citizens group, which I could only have worked in 25 years ago. I go over to Palm Beach for lunch, where in the same place where I could have been arrested. I go to the hospital where I could not have been treated. Of course, it hasn't been fast enough for many of us in the minority.
After 22 years of breaking ground and working to establish equality in the courtroom, Judge Rogers retired. The courthouse went on to become its own source of controversy. Despite all it had been through, the next time the courthouse became too small, it was slated for destruction. But a dedicated group of local professionals decided to do whatever it took to save it.
And we have 7 county commissioners, and they voted 6-1 to tear down the building.
I voted against it and went up to my office and called Harvey Oyer and said, it's not over, let's fix this. And worked with Harvey and others to change the sentiment on the commission.
I went to schools, Rotary clubs, Kiwanis clubs, churches, temples, anyone who would listen to the pitch and solicit endorsement letters, and overwhelmingly they all endorsed it.
After being wrapped for several decades, the first step was finding out if the building was even salvageable. Harvey Oyer managed to get $50,000 from the county to do an evaluation.
Thanks for joining us here on South Florida Daily. Hopefully you're enjoying the show so far, but stick around because we have plenty more stories for you coming up after the break. Hey, do you follow us on social? You should. We're on Instagram and Facebook at South FL Daily. We post giveaways, behind the scenes content, and so much more. We'll be right back. The South Florida Daily set is sponsored by Eldorado Furniture. The Spadey Cultural Heritage Museum is dedicated to discovering, collecting, and sharing the Black history of Palm Beach County. Here's Frank Licari on the town.
I'm standing in the Spadey Cultural Heritage Museum, which has become the main center of discovering, collecting, and sharing African American history of Palm Beach County. And it all started with Solomon D. Spadey. It's time to get a history lesson.
Mr. Spadey was a teacher, basically, but he's credited for stabilizing education here in Delray Beach for Black people, colored people, because we were colored in the 20s. By the time Mr. Spadey arrived in 1922, the railroad had opened. People were coming in, families are more permanent here in Delray Beach, and therefore the children are in school. Mr. Spadey set up a functional course of education that was patterned after his mentor, George Washington Carver. So he taught the reading, the writing, the math, the critical thinking, but he also taught the wood shop, the farming, the home economics. He not only taught the children, but he would assist the families with financial needs and real estate needs.
Wow.
And he was just a real educator in the community for everyone. This is a slave receipt for the sale of a Negro. You know who owned this slave? Our former city manager, David Harden. This was part of his archive, and he donated it to the Spadey Museum.
Wow.
These kinds of things exist, they're real, there is documentation to prove it, and people need to know this thing. And look at the date on this. December 6th, 1855. That was not very long ago.
Not very long ago at all.
We will continue to use whatever communication vehicle we can find to get the word out that we're here, but most importantly, that Black history exists and is being preserved and is worth knowing.
Of course, and not only that, I mean, it's such an integral part of this area.
Absolutely.
Of Palm Beach County, which a lot of people don't know about.
Our mission is to preserve. Preservation is who we are, preservation and education. We're always involved in whatever it is that can share the history of our area, the history of our people, and the culture of our people.
Right.
We intend, with Mr. Spadey's legacy, to continue bringing people together and making people understand how much we need each other.
The Spadey Cultural Heritage Museum opens its doors for many who want to contribute to the history and community it's fostered, including promoting reading and literature. We're on our way to a one-on-one study group with Akbar Watson, the owner and director of Pyramid Books. Akbar leads multiple study groups and literacy programs, all with one goal in mind: to make Black literature a global phenomenon. I've gotten to learn a little bit about history, and now I'm excited to learn about literature.
Pyramid Books, we're an African-centered bookstore. A small group of us used to read together, and some of the books were hard to come by. So voila, I moved from there, from the back of my trunk to a brick and mortar to now an online bookstore. In the process, I just started educating myself, and I recognized that literature has been used as a weapon against African Americans in the early days. So I really got into it, and I started studying about it, and then I started trying to teach. And I've been doing a lot of tutoring and so forth to try to de-weaponize literature.
So I come into one of your classes.
We have classes the last Saturday of each month. And so what we do is we study history. Whether you read the book or not, you're welcome. We do everything to embrace literature. So
Sure.
even if we do trips and movies and parks and
Right.
whatever, we do book signings, we bring national authors in, and then we do literary events. This was one of the books that we really enjoyed. Jomo Kenyatta, Facing Mount Kenya. What it talked about was the indigenous culture in Africa before colonialism. And so a lot of people don't know about that, but this was a very engaging book. I don't think I would ever be the person I am without my relationship with the books.
Yeah.
So each time I talk with somebody, I'm reminded of something I read, or I'm encouraged about something someone else is reading,
Sure.
or not reading, by the way.
And brings you confidence and almost forming more of your own identity, right?
Exactly.
Welcome back in, and thanks for joining us here on South Florida Daily. Still so many stories to come. Let's keep the ball rolling. South Florida Daily is on the move with Palm Tran.
Art adventurers, we are at Elisabetta's Ristorante in downtown West Palm Beach. And today, adventurers, we are going to learn about the art of authentic Italian cooking. Ciao! Hello!
Buongiorno, Shelly. Thank you for coming.
Chef, she is going to teach us all about Italian cooking. We're making some pizza.
Are you ready?
I'm
Are you
ready.
Okay, you want to be my partner?
I do.
Okay.
The man behind the scenes.
Louis Bello.
How you doing? Good to meet you. I'm looking forward to learning about a little pasta, a little pizza.
We'll show you all our best moves. Shelly, want to eat some pizza?
I am ready to eat the pizza. Bring it on.
Oh, first you have to make it.
Okay. Well,
Okay, so we're going to make a pizza.
I'm going to learn how to make a pizza.
Show you how to make the real pizza margherita.
We got a little flour here, ordered from Italy.
And Louis, you're telling me you do not throw the...
No, we don't throw the dough. Very gentle, very gentle. This dough has integrity. Nice and lightly, it opens up quickly, and we want to get rid of the excess flour. Beautiful tomatoes, very sweet naturally. We're going to use fresh mozzarella. Very simple. Italian food is very simple.
But good.
Simplicity.
You like basil, Shelly?
I love basil.
Okay, you're going to put the basil on. Throw it right on top.
Throw it right on there.
And then this is going to bake in the Stefano Ferrara pizza ovens imported from Italy.
Let's finish it off with our extra virgin olive oil.
And this is going to bake at 900 degrees.
Now you want the pizza to be nice and round because it's going to go in the oven and cook that way.
So the art of making the Neapolitan pizza is a very good tradition for us to embrace in the United States because it brings back so many memories of people traveling. So it's tradition that when I teach somebody how to cut the pizza, Louis sings O Solo Mio.
Okay.
So, ready, Bolo?
You ready?
No.
Okay, so you're going to cut it into 6 pieces.
All right. Stress.
Excellent.
Aha!
Beautiful. You can slide it right onto the plate. It's going to come right off. Wow, you're hired.
Woohoo!
Let's sign her up, Louis. It's a good job.
Thank you. Look at that bad boy. We're in Dough Central, right?
Yes, this is Command Central for the restaurant. This is where we do all of our preparation in the back kitchen. Very important place. This is where all the artists are working together.
And we're making bread.
We're making bread today. We have Chef Jason in the background. He's taking the bread out of our bread oven. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our sourdough bread.
Which is delicious.
Thank you.
Gotta eat the bread.
This is very near and dear to our heart. This program is very unusual. We're making the bread all with natural fermentation. No yeast, no commercial yeast. So this is a sourdough. It's alive. We feed it 3 times a day.
Oh,
and that's what
just like me.
Yeah, exactly. It's alive. So this is what we use to actually create the fermentation in the bread and allow it to rise, which it does very slow. Slow is better.
So the
Slow
bread
food.
rises, but your stomach doesn't.
No, right, exactly. It's very digestible, it has better flavor, better keeping qualities, and it's at the core of a lot of our menu items as well. It goes with everything, it's very delicious, but it's a labor of love. So this oven is steam injected, and the steam allows for the crust to stay supple, while it's baking, so it opens up. So it's baked directly on the focus, so focaccia. That's where they get the word
That's where they
focaccia.
get the- okay.
Right, the focus, the heart is the center of the household. The bread has been sitting in the refrigerator all night.
Now, is this what we call a bread basket?
This is our bread basket, exactly. Very good, you got the lingo. It's very technical, this part.
That's the stuff you need to know.
This part of the operation, the thousands of years of tradition, this is a true artisan baking. You can feel how the bread is full of air, right? So I'm going to show you how to do one. You have to be very intentional,
Okay.
right? That's a good word.
You show me and then I'll try.
Okay, so very quickly, boom.
Okay.
One cut, a little bit of a curve, and you can start to see that beautiful structure inside.
And it's already opening.
It's already opening, and it's going to hit that deck, and that steam is going to push it open.
All right, I'm a little nervous.
Okay, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed.
Hi, buddy. Here we go. A little
intentional.
Okay. Not a surgeon.
Okay. Well, I like your speed. Okay. Well, you know that
you're fired, right?
There's a reason why we practice and we train.
And there's a reason why I don't work in the kitchen.
But not bad, not bad.
Okay.
And we're happy to have you come. Jason starts at about 6 a.m. The art of food.
The art of food is really about the experience and sharing your creativity with the diner.
Yes, and so in a restaurant and in cooking, you're really telling a story, which is so much of what we do as humans, interacting socially. So I love to cook, I cook by myself, but the point of it really is the sharing of the experience. And that's what's very beautiful to me and inspiring. Our peach salad. And I wanted to tell you a bit of a story.
Some cheese on the salad.
Oh, yes, please. Reggiano, the king of cheeses. So that is something, you know, that's a lot of what we do is it's an ode to the great traditions of Italian food, like buying Reggiano Parmesan.
Buon appetito.
Well, I hope you enjoy the lunch.
I will.
We really enjoyed having you at the restaurant.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for sharing your talent.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for watching South Florida Daily. We love showing you all the fun things to see and do in South Florida.
Still so much content to come your way tomorrow, so be sure and tune back in right here on Fox 29 tomorrow at noon. We'll see you then.